Alabama fans, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com calling to the show today, 205-850-1994. I'll be back tonight as well. You can catch up with me in the evening time. Wanted to lead off our show on Monday, March 27th, talking about Alabama basketball. As you know, the Alabama basketball team was upset by San Diego State, 71-61. What do you think about that game? What do you think about the season overall? Was it a disappointing season at the end of everything? I mean, I want to get your take inside the comment box. As you know, the Crimson Tide went down 71-64. They end the season 31-6 overall, including a 16-2 mark in the SEC. San Diego State's defense clearly outstanding inside the paint. But it doesn't help when you don't shoot that well, right? I think Alabama was like 3 for 27 from the field. Brandon Miller, 3 of 19 from the field, 1 of 10 beyond the arc. This was an interesting stat. The Tide falls to 1-8 in 9 all-time appearances in the Sweet 16. Yeah, so I want to get your take on Alabama basketball going down to San Diego State. And as you saw, San Diego State beat Creighton at this point of the season, right? Like Nate Oates said during his press conference, all teams are good. So I want to get your take on the Alabama basketball team and the job that Nate Oates has done. I mean, clearly Nate Oates has done an incredible job at Alabama, but clearly they fell short. Thought it was a disappointing end to an incredible run this past season. Also wanted to talk about Malik Benson. And I think when you look to the wide receivers at Alabama, Malik Benson, junior college transfer, is certainly going to be somebody that turns heads. And already turns heads at Alabama's recent pro day. As you can see, gets off the line very well, was hauling in passes from Bryce Young. Nick Saban said that he feels Bryce Young going to be the number 1 pick. Absolutely, right? He's talked about the DNA makeup of Bryce Young and what he was able to do. But from a receiver standpoint, I'm really excited about Malik Benson because you look to these past several seasons, and we've talked about the wide receiving group for several times. And I think it's come down to the fact that, I think these past 2 years, there really hasn't, or this last season, there wasn't really a wide receiver to take the top off. And I think Malik Benson is certainly going to be that guy that can be that added element on the outside to take the top off the defense. You add, him, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, some of these younger guys that had opportunities last year. I mean, you saw what Kobe Prentice did as just a freshman. So really exciting to see Malik Benson here at Pro Day. Great highlights right here. And I love the fact that you can see all the NFL scouts. It's such a hard flex every single Pro Day for the Crimson Tide when all of these coaches come out to watch all these players participate in the Pro Day. And I mean, you have, planes, these private planes flying all in from all over. It's former coaches, it's current coaches, it's GMs, it's everybody. It's kind of the best of the best that wants to see these guys compete. And there's going to be a lot of guys that are selected in the NFL draft once again under Nick Saban. That's why he's the GOAT, right? You look at not only what Nick Saban continues to do from a season standpoint, but also these guys going into the NFL, and you're going to have potentially a number 1 pick. And that's what Coach Saban said regarding Bryce Young. Have some highlights of Bryce Young. You can call into the show, 205-850-1994, and want to talk about Alabama basketball. And also Malik Benson showcasing his abilities for the Crimson Tide. Right here, we had a chance to see Bryce Young. And what was great about Bryce Young is we didn't get to see him throw at the NFL Pro Day, but he comes out here to throw at Alabama's Pro Day. You're throwing basically just passes. It's all going to look good. But I think the biggest takeaway was listening to Nick Saban talk about Bryce Young and having that opportunity to potentially be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. How incredible would that be, right? So you look to the guys that are coming off the board and you look to the quarterbacks specifically. I think that Bryce has every single thing that you want from a quarterback standpoint because of his ability to extend plays, his ability to continue to progress as the quarterback. And I think one of the great things about Bryce Young as we went forward was his deep ball ability got better and better. And that was something that I think that wasn't probably his best suit early on, but I think as he got better, there's Cam Latu right there catching the pass. Kind of curious to see where Cam Latu ends up, right, in the NFL draft. I think last year wasn't as good as the year before. How about Jahmyr Gibbs? I think Jahmyr Gibbs can be an outstanding NFL running back. I mean, this guy was electric last year. I'd never seen a running back. Probably you guys have, probably in the past when following Alabama football, that was able to really, get 8 yards or whatever the dude was getting, and then also catch the football so well out of the backfield. That's why I like Najee Harris so much, is because Najee Harris was able to catch the football so well out of the backfield. But Jahmyr Gibbs had kind of that elusiveness. Here he is again. Then you also had Slade Bolden growing out there, right? Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Thank you for joining me on Monday, March 27th. We'll have an opportunity to hear from Nick Saban again this Wednesday. What's up, Chris? I see you inside the comment box, as well as Joshua. I appreciate you guys joining us. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Yeah, and I agree. Like, Gibbs is outstanding. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I mean, his ability to catch the football, his ability to make you miss. I think he's going to have a really nice rookie season in the NFL. It was a little overthrown right there. But overall, I mean, I love the take. And then, as I was saying earlier, I mean, when you I want to get your take, like Chris and Josh inside the comment box. What do you think about Malik Benson? Because when I looked at these highlights right here, clearly, like this is the guy that Alabama needed last season, right? Yeah, they needed him last season. So him coming in is a perfect opportunity. Now the question is, who is going to be the guy to get him the football, and can they get him the football? What is the offense going to look like under Tommy Rees, right? How are they going to distribute the football to their weapons, and what is going to happen in terms of getting, the running back distribution and kind of these guys from the outside? Is it going to be a tight end that steps up that can catch the football? Is it going to be a younger guy like Amari Niblack that we continue to talk about potentially? So yeah, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My name is Kyle Henderson. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We'll start doing these in the mornings, and you guys can get kind of in the routine of calling, and we'll kind of check out to see how the call volume is in the morning. It's been a little bit slowed, clearly, but I think if we continue the good pace of it, and then have an evening show, then we can get back to some calls and get you guys' feedback, because I love honestly getting your take about the spring season. And Alabama will again have practice tomorrow, and then Alabama we'll hear from Nick Saban again this week. I think we get Nick Saban twice, so we'll have those press conferences uploaded right here on Bama Insider. But I wanted to come and talk to you, just open up this Monday talking about Malik Benson, just because, like, after watching him at Pro Day, was really excited about what he is going to bring to the table. Chris is saying inside the comment box that it's Jalen Milroe's job to lose. I agree with that. I mean, you looked at what Jalen Milroe was able to do this last season, and and the small opportunities, and these guys progress so much, but it all comes down to how much they progress under the new offensive coordinator and with the new offense, and what type of weapons they're going to have. Clearly, the shoes are really big to fill, considering you're replacing a Heisman Trophy winner and all the great things that Bryce Young did. It's going to be tough, because Bryce is leaving high expectations, but the quarterback position is high expectations, right? Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young. It's an incredible group. And now it'll be Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson. So I cannot wait to see which guy really steps up to take over the reins. But I'm like you, Chris. I think it's going to be Jalen Milroe, and I think it's his job to lose. But there's nothing wrong with having another guy that can step up and do the job. How many times have we seen, the backup quarterback get into the game? I mean, if you watch the NFL, I mean, the 49ers were down their fourth or fifth quarterback, right? And you saw how that worked out for them. And I think there's a lot of fans of the 49ers that would love to have Brock Purdy, who is actually the third string quarterback, still be the guy going into the season over Trey Lance, who was their number one pick, right? I agree with you, man. Benson is that guy that we're really excited to see this coming season. I think he's going to be that guy at the receiver position that Alabama was probably missing this last season. But I think a lot of it had to do with Bill O'Brien too. Right. I mean, let's be honest. I think Bill O'Brien's play calling, I think, contributed to that. But I think that Isaiah Bond is certainly the guy that could take the defense over the top. But now Malik Benson being here, you have two added weapons, and then I can't wait to see what Kobe Prentice does. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I also wanted to just kind of hit on and get your calls about the Alabama basketball team. I know it was tough sledding for them inside the Sweet 16. The stat that stood out to me, I said this earlier on the show, was the fact that they were the Tide falls to 1-8 all-time in Sweet 16 appearances. That's just a really unbelievable stat that stands out to me. 31-6 on this season, 16-2 in SEC play. Brandon Miller struggled against SDSU, and I thought San Diego State, the Aztecs, did a great job defensively inside the paint. Miller was 3 of 19 from the field, 1 of 10 from beyond the arc. And obviously, San Diego State beat Creighton, so San Diego State on to the Final Four for the Aztecs. I think it'll be, it would be crazy if they actually make the championship, one game away. Yeah, but I appreciate you guys joining. I want to get, start doing these morning shows and start doing an evening show. So I appreciate you guys, the support. What's up, Patrick? I see you inside the comment box. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like Brandon Miller, like towards the end of the season, I don't know, because he struggled in the first game. Second game was all right, and then third game kind of just like the trajectory, right? I don't know, whatever. I mean, sometimes you go on streaks that are not good at the wrong time. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys being a part of our Bama Insider family. What's up, C-Bama? Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back tonight. We'll take, more calls, and we'll get you, we'll continue to add these shows in the morning time and the evening time. We got a 479 that's calling in. We'll take that call right now. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, this is Juwan Mahone. I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, man?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm doing so great. I have a lot of gratitude entering this morning, man. So happy to be on the line with you, man. Where you want to go? Basketball? You want to talk about pro day? Something spring football? It's your show, man. Take it away.
We can start with spring football.
Okay.
That's what I pay the most attention to right now, since all the SEC teams got eliminated from the NCAA tournament. But I just with Bama, see, I'm a Razorback fan, but I watch Alabama very closely because they're the standard not only in our conference but across the college football landscape. And I think they have more than enough guys on their team. I think Alabama should stop going to the transfer portal and just play their younger guys. Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, those guys, a lot of people might think they weren't ready to play last year, but you never know until you throw them into the fire. Whenever they actually play, those guys could stretch the field. I don't know if people know, but those guys have legit track speed.
Yeah.
There aren't too many defensive backs across the landscape that could really play with those guys or guard them in a man-to-man situation. And whenever they brought in Tyler Harold, he wasn't ready to come play SEC. Yeah. Did he ever even get on the field to Alabama last year?
I think he played like 2 games or something like that, but it was like nothing transpired there. I think he was like somewhat. Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. There was 0 production.
So they should have just went with the younger guys and just focused on developing those guys that they have. Alabama has some studs on their team. This last recruiting cycle, would they pull in like 8 5-stars? Nobody was under a 4. I don't understand why they go to the transfer portal. Even bringing in Elias Ricks last year like they did. I still wouldn't have brought in Elias Ricks. How much production did he give Alabama last year? I only remember him playing in a few games. And what he start, like 2 or 4 games or something like that?
Yeah, I think he was somewhat injured. And Chris in the comment box is referring to Tyler Harold, saying that he was also injured. But I get what you're saying. Like, look, but in the past, there has been a couple guys that have come from the transfer portal. And I think Alabama's methodology of looking at the transfer portal is getting guys that can make an immediate impact. So, for example, like Jahmyr Gibbs clearly hit it out of the park, right? Like that was something that certainly worked out. But you're going to have guys, maybe Henry Toto, right? A guy like that who was able to step in.
Well, we can say Jamison Williams most of all. Jamison Williams has been the most productive transfer that Alabama's brought in. That's just my opinion. There was nobody who could stop that guy. He was a real deal problem down here. His speed and his downfield ability, and he was a hell of a dropper. He would drop a ball quickly.
Yeah, he did. But over the top, the dude was a monster, right? His speed was something else.
Right.
Like, and he had the extra gear. Like he got faster and faster when he got the football.
Now, when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs, I follow you guys. The Alabama fan base wanted Jamarian Miller in there running that rock, man. So you guys can have, a lot of people have their own opinion. I'm under the opinion that, Jahmyr Gibbs did good over here with you guys, but he didn't do more than what he did at Georgia Tech. He didn't go over 1,000 yards. Yeah, he had some game-breaking plays for you guys, but he just wasn't that tough, grounded-out running back. In my opinion, you guys should have rolled with Jason McClellan, Jamarian Miller, or Roydell Williams, guys you already have in your running back room.
I love Jason McClellan. That dude's a monster. The thing about him is he's so well-rounded. And the thing about Roydell Williams is...
See what happened when he got that first carry against Texas? What'd he do? He took it 80.
Dude, he's a monster. I'm telling you, if Jason McClellan's at any other program this last year, he is the main man. Now, the thing with Gibbs is Alabama really hasn't had a running back that has that electric speed, over the last, 5 seasons. But I think Jason McClellan has a blend of everything you're looking for. I know he got hurt as well. And then Roydell Williams got hurt as well. But inside the red zone, Roydell Williams is like a bowling ball. And then you're right. I mean, look at that run. Look at that run that Jamarian Miller had against Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. Like he ripped off a run. And I was like, yep, he has it. So, no, I love the fact that, let me ask you a question. When we talk like SEC football, now you said you follow Arkansas, right?
I'm an Arkansas fan. I'm from Fayetteville.
Yeah, I got you. So, I mean, Sam Pittman, I think you clearly remember this, and I'll get to our next caller here in a few, but I just wanted to ask something from Sam Pittman's perspective. So before Sam Pittman went to Arkansas, which I think has been an incredible fit for the Razorbacks, Nick Saban was going to try to hire Sam Pittman. And I think the reason is Nick Saban clearly knows the capability of Sam Pittman. I think Sam Pittman's been the best addition to the SEC. And you see all these coaches continue to come in, monster coaches, right? But I think Sam Pittman has done a fantastic job at Arkansas. So your take on Sam Pittman, I'm curious to get that. And then also your take kind of on that defensive philosophy that he's implemented for the Razorbacks.
I love Coach Pittman. Yeah. I love the attitude that he's brought to the team. He's brought a new energy back to Fayetteville that was completely sucked out by Chad Morris. Yeah, that Chad Morris era, it really just sucked the energy out of the Hogs. In our first 4 seasons now with Coach Pittman, we see the trajectory just steadily going up every season. Yep. And he's making improvements on the coaching staff, especially with the defensive guys that he just brought in and our other coaches that he brought in. We brought in a new tight end coach, and he picked up on recruiting. And whenever we just lost Kendall Browse also, a lot of people aren't talking about Dan Enos that we just brought in. He spent a lot of time down there at Alabama helping Mac Jones develop and just learning the system from Steve Sarkisian and Nick Saban. So I think he's going to bring a new philosophy to our team. Arkansas, we arguably have the best running back in the conference with Rocket Sanders right now. So I'm really excited to see what we can do this season coming up. If we can improve our defense just a little bit, that would help us probably win maybe 1 or 2 more games that we probably lost last season, especially that Liberty game. That should have been a win off the back for us. And LSU, that was really, really close. We just couldn't muster some offense out because we had KJ Jefferson hurt, but that's the thing I like about Sam Pittman.
Let me ask you
something. Before Sam Pittman came, we would have never had a chance with a player like Aaron Nolan, which is almost a borderline 5-star. That he just dropped his top 7, which included Alabama, Arkansas, and A&M at the SEC. So I'm really excited for what Coach Pittman's going to do here in the future.
All right, my last question, Arkansas related, because it's still tied into Alabama. Okay, but Drew Sanders. You talk about the transfer portal. I mean, look what he did for Arkansas. I'm looking at the stats right now. He had 103 total tackles, and 40 of those were solos. Drew Sanders, I mean, I thought he was going to be a superstar here at Alabama. Probably would have. Your take on Drew Sanders?
Okay, well, at Alabama, it's especially at that linebacker or edge position, it's going to be hard for you to really stand out no matter who you are. For example, you have a guy like Will Anderson. He's a badass. He comes in as a freshman, starts day one. Mm-hmm. You have Drew Sanders, who he started slow his freshman year, but his second year he kind of was getting more into the college game. But then he goes down, and then you have a freak show like Dallas Turner come in. There was no way. I was telling people there was no way he was going to get that spot back from Dallas Turner. Anybody who's ever seen Dallas Turner play,
that dude is a
world destroyer.
Yeah. He's a monster. Yeah.
Yeah. So like whenever you go down at Bama, or like this year with Quay Rusall coming in and Smith and some of those other guys, man, that's not going to be easy. Those kids are coming in hungry. Yeah. They're coming in physically ready. And if you're like slipping at any point in time, you can get your position taken at Bama. Just like my favorite player that I'm following right now with you guys is Caleb Downs.
Yep.
And from what I'm hearing, Caleb Downs is supposed to step right in at safety and be a starter day one. What do you know anything about Caleb Downs starting or potentially playing?
Just kind of the thing about Alabama is they don't. I mean, everything has been kind of locked down in terms of the stuff that we can see. But I think you're right. I mean, that Caleb Downs is certainly a guy that has a potential to start. And I think like Nick Saban said it best. And we'll end it here, but. All of these, like, we're obsessed with depth charts, right? Like Coach Saban is all about these guys making sure that they can get the reps and the repetitions that they need. So look for Travarius Robinson, who's going to run that entire defensive secondary to work with Caleb Downs, but also know that Nick Saban himself is like the DB's coach. So we'll continue to see it. Hey, bro, I appreciate you calling, man. Call in anytime. You want to just talk SE football, like with me or whatever, call in. I appreciate your dialogue. We can go round the horn, man, but I appreciate you calling. Have a blessed Monday. And thank you again for calling.
I appreciate you, Kyle. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man. All right, we'll take our 504. We got someone calling from 504 in just a second. Caleb Downs, right? Plug and play. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Talking about Malik Benson coming in, kind of leading the show with that. Just the fact that I think really everyone, after seeing him at Pro Day, how excited everyone is for him to come in and be that receiver that Alabama probably needed last year, right? I think this guy is certainly going to be able to take the top over the defense. We also talked about Bryce Young and Bryce Young throwing at Pro Day. We didn't get a chance to see him throw at the NFL's Pro Day, but we got a chance to see him do his thing. There's Jahmyr Gibbs right there. We talked about Gibbs a little bit on our last call. And then we talked about Alabama basketball losing in the Sweet 16, but right now, what we'll do is we will take our next caller from the 504. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
It's Quan from New Orleans. Kyle, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Thank you very much for calling in. You know how big a fan I am of New Orleans anytime I get there. That's why the Sugar Bowl was so amazing, man. I love the food. I love the music. I love the nightlife. I love it all, man. So where you want to take it today?
Hey, man, I'm just listening to the Arkansas Razorbacks playing talk about what we need to do and what we don't need to do. But I'm excited, man. I'm looking at Malik Benson and I'm excited, man. I'm excited about the moves being made this off season with the new coordinator hires. I'm excited, Kyle. I'm excited. I kind of feel like Coach Saban was forced to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We know he can be stubborn sometimes. We know, some coaches. Well, maybe one coach, Pete Golden, he kept a little too long, and it's obvious to me, Kyle, what it is. And I know people in Alabama don't want to hear it, but our dynasty right now is kind of on life support. Mm-hmm. We got a guy in Athens, Georgia, Nick Saban Jr., who's ran off 2 straight, mm-hmm. and people don't want to hear it, and they're going to get in the comments and call me an idiot and all that. Mm-hmm. But if Kirby run off 3 straight, Kyle, you think David Pollack told Nick Saban to his face that Georgia runs college football? If Kirby runs off 3 straight, our dynasty effectively it's going to essentially be dead. And I think he looked in the mirror and said, Pete Golden and Bill O'Brien is not going to stop what's going on in Athens. Mm-hmm. I got to make a change, and I got to make it right now. And I think he had a come to Jesus moment about it's time. I've been hearing it for the last 3 years about this Pete Golden guy. I got to do it. I got to pull the trigger. I love the Kevin Steele hire. It's an old school DB, an old school defensive coordinator. He's a DB coach. They say he coached linebackers also. I love it. I love the hire. I love the Tommy Rees hire. I think that we needed some young, fresh blood in there. The offensive coordinator, I talked to Mick about it early in the season. We need to go young on the offensive side. Mm-hmm. I just felt like Bill O'Brien was stale. He was older, and he's where he belongs at in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So I like what we're doing. I like the Malik Benson. I like everything we got going on right now. And I feel like the quarterback situation, it'll shake out on his own, and the best guy wins. I don't have no dog in the fight. I like Ty. I like Jalen. Whoever is going to get us to where we need to go, that's who I want on the field.
Let me ask you a question.
And,
kind of
you know,
getting. Let me ask you a question. Kind of getting back to your original point about Georgia and the dominance that they've shown over these last 2 seasons, and if they can make another run, that would be 3 in a row. Clearly, that dynasty. We're kind of all waiting for that. I mean, Georgia's been a bad moon rising for, several seasons, and now putting it together. And I think, let me ask you this: do you feel that last year's Georgia offense, like they were able to kind of get into this speed game? Because you look to the wide receivers that they had. You look to the wide receivers that Alabama didn't have. Like, as soon as Georgia opened up their offense, and I saw it from the get-go, like their first game of the season when Stetson Bennett was throwing to their weapons, I was like, oh, these guys transformed their offense. And now they have kind of, I think that because they continue to model after Alabama, they're recruiting the same players, right? But now you have this offense that is opened up. I think that's made them even more dangerous.
It's more dangerous. It's more dangerous. I mean, Kirby has copied us to the T, Kyle. You know that from when he left. He took the recruiting board with him. Everything that he's installing in Athens is what we were or what we are. And I mean, it's getting to the point. So I go back to, I think Coach Saban had to come to Jesus moment. He said, "Look, man, I got to stop this dude. And these 2 coordinators I got, they're not going to get it done. I'm not going to stop him with them." So I love it. I love the fact that he went out and he got these new coordinators. This kid, Tommy Reese, that nobody really knows about, come from Notre Dame. Well, he didn't have the talent in Notre Dame that he's going to have in Tuscaloosa. So I love it, because at the end of the day, I feel like we right there. I feel like only thing I'm more or less worried about is, you know, Coach Saban is big on the experience. And I think sometimes over the last couple of years, we didn't have the best player on the field. We had the most experienced player. Well, in this year, I'm hoping Kevin Steele tells him, well, I think Caleb Down, I'm using an example, Kyle. If Kevin Steele tells him, well, I think Caleb Down or Devontae Smith or Christian Story, I think they're better than Malachi Moore. I think I want to go with them. I understand Malachi Moore got a lot of experience, but every time I see Malachi Moore, he's running behind the defender. He's chasing somebody who's in front of him, who the quarterback is clearly, you know, targeting to throw the ball to. So I'm hoping this year that the best players get on the field, because you can't get experience, Kyle, until you get on the field. So I don't want to hear about, well, this guy got experience, but he's not the best player. Put the best players on the field, and we'll live with our result. That's like the previous caller. He said the transfer portal. We all know if Eli Ricks played in that Tennessee game, that wide receiver for Tennessee wasn't scoring 5 touchdowns on Eli Ricks. But, you know, we had Terrion Arnold out there. I don't think Terrion Arnold was better than Eli Ricks. You know, Kirby is doing what Nick Saban used to do. Is Kirby's putting his best players out there on the field, and he's going to live or die with it. So I hope we get back to that. You know, put the best players on the field. We're going to live and die with it. So that's what I'm hoping we get back to. I'm just hoping this is a turnaround. We got to get to the playoffs. And most importantly, we got to stop Georgia, Kyle. I mean, we got to – we can't kid ourselves no more about this. This season in 2023 is we got to stop Georgia. We cannot let Georgia win another championship. They can't run all 3 in a row. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's how I'm looking at this whole season. We got to stop Georgia.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and that's one of the biggest storylines going into the season. I think there's 2 of them, right? Can Georgia make another run? That is clearly the biggest storyline in college football, and I think obviously they can. They have the makings to do it. This is a dynasty that is getting going over there. And then the other one is who's going to be the quarterback at Alabama to follow the lineage of these great quarterbacks that Alabama has had, right? We talked about, you know, Tua, we talked about Mac, we talked about Jalen, who just played in the Super Bowl. And now you talk about who's going to, you know, replace Bryce Young at the quarterback position. So I think those are the biggest things. But I think overall in college football, Nick Saban, remember when David Pollock told him, about Georgia, and you saw Nick Saban's face, and social media went crazy on that. But you're right. He made changes to do that. And when you're at the big position, you know, the CEO like Nick Saban is, he has to make those tough decisions. He had to get rid of Bill O'Brien, and he had to get rid of Pete Golding. Clearly, those guys had opportunities, but bringing in the young Tommy Rees, I think, is great. When you look to Notre Dame's offense, they were able to be very versatile, especially with that tight end group, which I think Alabama is excited about. And there's some players there, CJ Dupree, Amari Niblack, that can really, you know, create some opportunities for their offense. And I love the fact, like you said, you went with the younger guy, Tommy Rees, at the offensive standpoint, because you have to keep that young offensive mentality that college football is. And then on the defensive side, you went with someone, Kevin Steele, who's been at Alabama now for, I think, 3 times under Nick Saban. And when I talk about Kevin Steele, you'll probably hear me say this a million times. When I first got here to Alabama and Alabama went down to Auburn, Auburn beat the living crap out of Alabama in the trenches everywhere. Yeah, and that was the first time that I ever seen Alabama be beat up. And Kevin Steele was the DC. So I don't look to Kevin Steele at Miami as a DC. I look at what he was able to do with a couple years under his belt at Auburn, kind of that old school mentality that he's bringing to Alabama's defense.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And I also think between this quarterback battle, I'm gonna say it now. If Jalen Milroe pass accuracy is not vastly improved from last year, then put Ty out there.
Yeah.
I know Jalen Milroe played. He got more experience than Ty. But if Ty is the better player, put Ty out there.
Yeah.
Put him out there.
Yep.
Let's put the best players on the field.
Yeah.
Let's throw the experience stuff out the window.
That's it.
We're going to put the best players on the field.
That's it, man. Hey, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in today. Thank you so much. Remember, I'm going to start doing these morning shows and probably evening show as well. So start getting used to calling back. I appreciate you very much. You have a blessed Monday.
Oh, yeah.
It's always good to rap with you, man.
Too, God. You too, brother.
Yeah. So stay blessed.
You
and
too. Roll Tide,
yeah, I appreciate you. Roll Tide to you, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. There was I love the callers, you know. I mean, it's always good to, you know, catch up with the guy. I mean, because I've been doing this for so long. So I was, you know, all these guys calling in from New Orleans or from Kentucky, from New York. I mean, you know, when I had when Tua was a quarterback, I had a fan base from Hawaii. So I had to move the show later in the day because everyone from Hawaii was still asleep, right? But when you have it made with the Hawaiians, you had it made in the shade. That was incredible. I'd get Lay's, chocolate, fish jerky, all that stuff. All right, so Kyle Henderson coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama continues spring practice this week. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys calling in today. We'll recut these, add some more videos to our YouTube channel. Nick Saban, twice this week. You got practice highlights coming your way. All this and more right here on our YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys being with us. Have a beautiful day, and thank you again for sticking with me this morning on Monday, March 27th. Catch up with you soon. Thanks.